You wake up, and in one day, seemingly overnight, the only thing you can feel is pain encircling you everywhere. It's hot, painful, and even your very flesh seems like it's falling off in an endless loop. It's heat, fire, almost magma, and with it, you can't see anything. The fires have burned away what was left of your sight. Unfortunately for you, you can hear only the things around you, the screams of the damned and the people that suffer eternally alongside you. Unfortunately, this would be the only sound that you hear for eons, as you find yourself stuck amongst the other damned human beings and souls trapped down in hell. Above you, though, there's a different kind of sound. Every once in a while, what seems like days or weeks to you, you hear the screeching and the laughing of what sounds like daemons floating above you, pricking people with forks and other means of torturous tools. And yet you're stuck down here, endlessly tortured by not only the fires and pits of hell, but by the demons within. And with that, I gotta say, welcome back, everybody. I'm your host, Joey, and I'm here with my co-host, Nate, today.
Hello, everybody.
And we're gonna go ahead and go on to part 2 of the Mythos Files 1 with Angels and Daemons today. Kind of had a little bit of a stop off after Angels, and I wanted to keep going, but unfortunately for you and us, we had to wait till this week to do it. But we're back, and I'm super excited to do this one. I love demons and the mythological stuff that goes around them. They're a lot more interesting to me
Yes.
than some of the angels, for sure. Because like angels are just odd and very alien. But
There it is.
the demon part of things are really they're really interesting too. They're like completely different and almost have their own. They seem more spiritual to me than angels do, in my personal opinion.
oh, oh yeah, absolutely. And just like angels, they're multicultural. Like they span many different cultures, not just demons, but hell. But someone asked me, and so I think it's a good point to say on here too that the reason it's marked Daemons is that was like the original ancient Greek word for it was daemon, and it didn't carry negative connotations. It just meant spirit or divine power. Like that's all it meant.
Yeah, it wasn't anything crazy. We came up in English with demon from the word daemon, so there's a lot of different stuff for it. But like you're saying, Nate, like not every single daemon is a bad thing. It's just a spirit, or there's actually the ghoul. They also have ghouls categorized into this, so I think it's pretty funny.
Yep.
But there's a ton of these that I really love, and like I know that you have some that you kind of have research on from a book of yours, huh?
Yeah. So I actually have a physical copy of the Infernal Dictionary. So that's where a lot of my stuff is going to be coming out of today. And it's so funny you brought up Ghoul because it's this version of it is edited with an introduction by Dioblito Ordo Al Ghoul. And I was like, that's kind of cool, actually.
Imagine you're like, I was made for this.
I was made for this. Exactly. I was trying to wonder if he's related to Talia Al Ghul, Batman's son over here. um, but yeah. So if you want, we can jump right into that. I have one that right out the gate, right immediately, might cause some controversy. But it's also the first one on my list because since it's a dictionary, it goes in alphabetical order. But this one kind of blew my mind just because of what it says. So, this one's name is either Abracax or Abraxas. I'm not sure if I'm butchering that. I'm sure I am,
No,
but
I
that's
see
okay.
it. Yeah. Praxis is one of the Gnostic, right?
So this, according to the Infernal Dictionary here, it says one of the gods of some Asian theogonies, uh, Theogenes? I'm not sure. Whose name was drawn from the phylactery Abracadabra. Abracax, who's depicted on amulets with the head of a rooster, dragon feet, and a whip in his hand. The demonologists have made him a demon with the head of a king and the feet that are made out of snakes. The Basilidians, heretics of the 2nd century, they saw him their supreme god because they found the 7 Greek letters which form his name made the number 365, which is how many days are in a year. So they placed under his order several geniuses who presided over 365 heavens, and to whom they attributed 365 virtues, one for every day. But this is the part that really gets me about him, and that one of the reasons I was like, this is one of the most controversials. The Basilidians, those 2nd century heretics, said that Jesus Christ was only a benevolent ghost sent to earth by Abracax. They deviated from the doctrine of their leader. But that is crazy to me that like one of the first ones in this dictionary is like, oh yeah, they believed he was so powerful that Jesus was just a ghost sent by him.
That's fucking crazy. Wow. To keep on track with the
So
the A names, I have one of myself, my own. In the Hindu literature, it's called Andhaka, which is he who darkens, and it refers to like an evil spirit, right?
okay, yeah.
And this pride, these spirits in Hinduism are in prides, kind of like lions, right? Like it's pride. And it was
Okay.
vanquished by Shiva and Parvati. And so it's like the story mentions in like multiple of these texts that he's believed to have 1,000 heads, 1,000 arms, and 2,000 eyes. And it's one of those things where this demon is like all knowing because in the Shiva Purana, Shiva was meditating and the Parvati was in a playful mood and covered Shiva's eyes. And it said that this is what caused the whole universe to be covered in darkness at one point. And like there's
Mm.
like sweat that oozed out of their hands due to touching the powerful third eye fell to the ground and created this horrible looking like beast, right? And Shiva
Right.
rebuked this Daemon, right, for the physical contact. And so one of the most powerful gods, essentially, like a little. The story is that this like little child-esque thing kind of came up, put its hands up over the eyes of Shiva, and then it got turned into this 1,000-armed, 1,000-eyed beast. And so I was like, wow, that's interesting, I guess. But there's like, so Antikah trusted this general, and this general basically later on, while they're kind of in this war, because eventually Antikah, in their whole literature, they like go through the books of how they started war and whatnot. Trusted a general named Bali, who single-handedly defeated all the gods and then swallowed them. And then
As you
Shiva,
do.
pretty much, yeah, Shiva ended up like killing him. Pretty much, it made him puke up all the gods. And
Oh, gads.
yeah, and after all this, Antikah had kind of cursed Shiva after they had successfully banished Antikah and this general and the army down to the pits of hell, where they still reside. So, like, at the end of the day, Antikah kind of becomes like a guard dog for the underworld for them.
Right, yeah, because Kali is the sultan of the Indian hell, basically. She's like the queen of demons over there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just found that one really interesting out of all of them that I was looking through for like Hinduism. I
Yeah.
was like, that's interesting to because like the only imagine you're just like I'm gonna play a prank on this dude, and then you go up and you cover the eyes like haha I got you, and they're like curse you to have 1,000 arms, 1,000 legs, 1,000 heads, 2,000 eyes. Fuck you. You're like, okay,
Fuck you.
thanks, thank you Shiva.
Fuck you. Just...
That one just got me because I was like, what a weird story of like most of the
Well,
demons are like they were once angels themselves and they were cast down from the heavens, and then like this one's just like it was just a dude who was just playing a trick,
just a guy.
and then it just fucked up, and I was like, that's kind of fucked up, but all right.
You know, speaking of just a guy, I came across while I was doing research for this a very strange demon who I would describe as just a guy. Mostly because his name is Leonard. That's right, Leonard, the Great Demon. Spelled exactly how you would spell Leonard, by the way, if you were to name somebody that.
I mean, hey, what are you gonna do? You know,
First
he's
Order
a silly
Demon.
dude.
He is. He's got 3 horns, it looks like. So here, I will read his description straight out of the dictionary here. First Order Demon, Grand Master of the Sabbats, leader of the subordinate demons, and Inspector General of Witchcraft. Are you doing that right? Black magic and sorcerers as well. He's the Inspector General of. So much so, he is often called Le Grand Negre, the Black Man. I'm not making that up. It's right here in the dictionary. He presides over the Sabbath under the figure of a goat from the waist up. He has 3 horns on his head, 2 fox ears, spiky hair, round eyes that are inflamed and very open, a goat's beard, and a face on his butt. Leonard the Demon. The sorcerers adore him by kissing his lower face. That's right, they kiss his ass literally, with a green candle in their hand. Sometimes he looks like a greyhound or an ox or a big black bird, or as a tree trunk surmounted by a dark face. His feet, when he attends the Sabbath, are always goose-legged. However, the experts who saw the devil on the Sabbath observe that he has no feet when he takes the form of a tree trunk and in other extraordinary circumstances. Leonard is taciturn and melancholy, but in all the assemblies of wizards and devils where he is obliged to appear, he shows himself advantageously and deploys a superb gravity. What I love about Leonard is he's just a guy, and you can tell because his preferred form of worship is literally having his ass kissed.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw this, but like some of the connection between him and the Legend of the Werewolf for his like form taking. And then he's been known to appear as like a handsome soldier, a favorite of many demons, and in this form he'll seduce young women, take them to the wilderness, and quote unquote, where he will lie with her and ejaculate cold semen. And then any child resulting from this union is either an offering for sin or like kind of like an odd creature. And then it just echoes loosely the story of this beast, and I'm like, who's writing these? Who?
Who's right? What kind of weird? This is when the Sonic fanfic goes too far and becomes canon. That's what happened here.
Why did you?
I firmly
add
believe.
The cold part? Why did you have to add that?
I firmly believe now that Leonard is the father of the Jersey Devil. I will take no arguments.
Hey. Maybe we're actually not seeing the Jersey Devils talk. Maybe that's his. Maybe that's
snap.
His back. The horse head is the back of it. It's all a ploy.
There's only one way to truly know. I'm gonna need one of our listeners to go and jerk off the Jersey Devil and let me know if it's cold, and then we'll have our answer.
Is it cold? Yeah, it's cold. That's the one thing that I read that I was like, when you're writing a story about a demon or daemon or devil or whatever, like, and you're like, yeah, and it came out cold. You're like, who who are you referencing? Who gave you this knowledge? Who told you that this was what was happening? I'm more afraid of how you learned this than you saying it. Why would you have to? Where did you get this? But
Leonard showed up really drunk to a witch party when I was like, "You guys want to see a trick?" And they were like, "Ah, it's cold."
oh, what? What? Close your eyes, dude. You just put a piece of ice in my hand. What the fuck? What? It's like,
Leonard.
you little silly goose. Always hitting us with the
Scamp.
cold ones, aren't you? Like, bruh. What the hell, man? Thanks, Leonard. Needed that.
Thanks, Leonard. Thanks for the nightmares, Leonard.
Definitely gonna haunt me for a little bit.
So, listeners, punch your closest Leonard.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh man. So yeah, he's probably one of my favorites that I came across in all of this. I was like, Leonard, it's just a guy.
Straight up, it is. It's just like, oh, he shapeshifts into what? A dude. And you're like,
a dude.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. It's like, what? Does he do anything evil? No, not really. He's kind of there.
Right.
Okay.
I like that too because he's not like a monarch of hell. He's not a king or a prince, and you can tell because he chooses to shapeshift into just a dude. You know, the smart thing to blend in and be safe. But the kings and princes and stuff, they don't care at all.
No.
For instance, the next one I have in my list is Baal. Demon cited in the Grand Grimoire as the head of infernal powers. It is by him that Wyrus begins the inventory of his famous Pseudo-Monarchia Daemonium. He calls Baal the first king of hell, and his estates are in the eastern part. But here's what I love. He shows himself with 3 heads, one of which has the figure of a toad, the other one of a man with a crown, and the third one of a cat. His voice is hoarse, but he fights very well. And he makes those who invoke him fine and cunning, and teaches them the way to be invisible. 66 legions obey him, and he may be the same as Baal, B-A-A-L. But he shows himself with 3 heads. Like, he doesn't give a shit, man. He's just like, I'm gonna let you know what's up, and you may be fucked.
Imagine as a daemon, you come down, you come up from Earth or wherever the fuck you come from, and you come down, and you're just like, man, I like that guy's face. He has a crown. I'm gonna take that one. And then like you're walking along, you're like, man, this thing's super weird looking. What is this little stuffed toad or a frog? And you're like, huh, I'm gonna take that face. And then you come across little cat, and you're like, yeah, fuck it, I'm
That's
taking your
my
face too.
now.
It's mine. It's like,
What's
dog.
What's creepy about it too is like it has illustrated description, and it doesn't say this anywhere on here, but those 3 heads are on like a giant spider body. The spider body itself has no head. It's just like the belly and legs and stuff. But it's so
Definitely an amalgam
it's very trippy.
of these creatures.
Right, and we seem to see that a lot through the demon stuff too, is they're either crazy, mixed up, weird looking creatures, or they shapeshift. That seems to be really, really common among these stories, which again, we saw that kind of with the angels too.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some interesting stuff, and like I think that the way they're described, like, okay, with the angels, they kind of get away with the whole like, oh, they're a little cute because people made them cute and nice and whatnot. There's like the demons and daemons, they just get like fucked drawings, and that's just what they get.
Yeah. Well, these are clearly awful, terrible creatures.
I don't know,
and the other
man,
ones
I like
are
cats.
pretty.
I love cats, so I'm kind of like,
Me too.
feeling like, bro, you know, if you just talk to me with the cat head, I think we're good. Okay, maybe even a frog. I kind of dig the little frog. Well, okay, what is up with
I'd
people
be.
in trying to draw frogs in olden times? It always
Oh
looks
my gosh. Yeah.
weird. It never looks like a frog.
No, it looks like a super long-faced rock or something. Like,
A little rock with a face. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's
like
exactly
it
what it
never.
looks
Yeah,
like.
never. They never look right. Um, but like along that same line of logic, I think I'd be okay if it started talking to me in the cat head, as long as it didn't pull some like Super Trooper stuff on me, where it's like, meow, what did you call me here for, meow? Right, meow. Tell me right now. I would
Dude,
lose it, dude.
I don't
I would
know. I
die.
don't know. I would feel a little interesting. I'd be like, why you gotta say it like that, bro? Chill
I
out.
need
It's
you to say
okay.
cool whip for me.
Cool whip. Yes, exactly.
Whip.
Okay. I like to imagine that none of the frog and the cat head can't actually speak. They just like make their animal noises, and the dude head is the only one that can actually speak language.
The- but he's always trying to calm down the frog and the cat because they're always like
Dude,
fighting
dude,
with each
dude,
other.
dude, dude, calm down, calm down, okay? I know what you're talking about, but just give us a minute, okay? We're trying to figure this out.
meanwhile, meanwhile behind him, there's just like meow, ribbit, meow, ribbit. Like fucking Toad
Like, bro,
sticks its tongue in the cat's eye.
ah, oh man.
Demons are fun.
They are fun because they're just like the most off-putting creatures. Like in terms of everything else, they're just odd. I've seen a lot of stuff in my day, and one of my favorite ones is the Lamia in
Oh
Greek
yes, that's a good one.
mythology, the child-eating monster, and it's considered a daemon, right? So it's
Yes,
a
and
different
it is
kind of
also in the
daemon.
Infernal Dictionary.
Mm-hmm. And Lamia was a beautiful queen of ancient Libya who had an affair with Zeus. And upon learning this, Hera, Zeus' wife, robbed Lamia of her children and the offspring of her affair with Zeus, either by just straight up kidnapping or killing them. And the loss of her children drove her insane, and she like vowed vengeance and was rotted with despair. Lamia snatched up any children she could find and just like ate them because whatever. And then her physical appearance
Yummy.
changed to become ugly and monstrous. And then Zeus gave Lamia the power of prophecy and ability to take out and reinsert her eyes. Probably because she was cursed by Hera with insomnia, or because she could no longer close her eyes. But she was forced to always obsess over her lost children. And
Right.
what an interesting thing, because they've described it as like a serpentine woman, right? Kind of like the Naga.
Yeah. In the Infernal Dictionary, it says she has dragon heads at the end of her feet.
Yeah, yeah. If you look at like one of the pictures, even on like Wikipedia and stuff, it's interesting to look at.
That's
But yeah,
crazy.
it's just an odd one for sure. But I do love what she kind of looks like in everything, because like there is one from the history of four-footed beasts where it's like she's like got goat hooves, lion claws. For some reason, she still has her human tits, but then she's got like a proboscis and like scaly skin and stuff, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, my biggest thing about this kind of
Listen,
stuff
man.
is just how do you come up? How do you draw something like that?
Listen, man, if you're gonna write a book about monsters, you have to know that at some point you're also going to have to appease the monster fuckers. It's just, A plus B equals C. That's all it is.
I'm just saying, man. It's just weird how it was. Just her description of everything, and like her
Yeah.
overall, like she just eat babies now.
Just a baby eating bastard. No, I'm just kidding.
You know what I'm saying, man?
Yeah, she's crazy. And then like there's also ones like she's known to be like the last few that we've talked about have known to be like real cunning and like real devious or manipulative and stuff in their behaviors and stuff, and that seems to be something that
Well, there's like
evolved over
siren
time. That
qualities. What? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it seems to be the negative stuff of it seems to have like really evolved over time into being like the worst aspects of man and humanity, and then some of them aren't even like that. Like for instance, I don't know if this will be a good example or a bad example, but like Behemoth, he's literally described as a heavy and stupid demon despite his dignity. So like the only reason he's so high up at all is because he's really really strong and really dignified, but he's really dumb and gullible.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the weird part is like as you kind of get into demonology and daemonology, like if you get into like Greek mythos and like Roman or even like Hinduistic and Gnostic, a lot of the daemons
Oh
and
yeah.
demons that they have are like people, like just regular Joes that just did something to piss off a god.
Oh yeah, that's like how Medusa came about.
Yeah, Gorgons, yeah,
Um,
specifically.
yeah, yeah. I wanna, I'm gonna read the description for Behemoth out of the Infernal Dictionary here because there's some stuff in here that I think is pretty crazy, and it talks about that multicultural impact that certain singular demons can have too. Um, So it says, his strength is in his loins, Sam. No, his domain is gluttony and the pleasures of the belly. So,
Oh
food and
god,
stuff.
I was to say me too,
Some
brother. Me fucking too.
demonomaniacs. Yeah, it says some demonomaniacs. That is the official title here. Demono maniacs. Say he is the underworld, the cupbearer, and grand butler. That's what he is in the underworld.
The
So big,
Grand
heavy, stupid
Butler.
demon. Yeah, exactly. Big, heavy, stupid demon. We made him the butler. Bodin believes that Behemoth is actually none other than the Pharaoh of Egypt who persecuted the Hebrews. If you guys remember
Oh,
that story,
interesting.
Moses, shut the Red Sea on them. Um, Job speaks of Behemoth as a giant, monstrous creature. And commentators claim that it is the whale, but others claim that the whale is more like Leviathan and that it is the elephant. But there's disputes that Leviathan is a serpent as well. And there's other monsters whose races seem to have disappeared over time. It then says, it is seen in the trial of Urbain Grandier that Behemoth is indeed a demon, and Delancey says he was taken for a monstrous animal because he gives himself the shape of all the big beasts. He adds that Behemoth also disguises himself with perfection in dog, elephant, fox, and wolf forms. Of those, I feel like elephant is a big beast and the rest are medium, but
I would have to agree.
Um,
I love that. I feel like elephant, like to start off and be like elephant, and then you're like mouse, fox, like
yeah,
you like little tiny little things. You're like, okay, man, that's cool. I mean, it's
right?
still cool, but I mean, I feel like
Right?
you kind of missing out there, but
But here's what's funny, and this is where it starts crossing cultural norms too, is because the Jewish faith actually sees him very differently. So, because one reads in the book of Job that Behemoth eats hay like an ox, the rabbis made him the wonderful ox reserved for the feast of their Messiah. This ox is so huge, they say, that he swallows every day the hay of 1,000 immense mountains which he has grazed since the beginning of the world. He never leaves his 1,000 mountains where the grass he ate during the day regrows during the night. They add that God killed the female of his kind in the beginning, for we could not allow such a breed to multiply. The Jews promise well of joy at the feast, where he will make the peace the resistance. They swear on their side by the flesh of Behemoth. Like that's pulled from what is it, the Quran and stuff.
that's crazy, man.
Right? So it's really insane to see that these demons or daemons did never started out negative, slowly became negative over time, and other cultures have adapted these and maybe aren't so negative at all. So it's really interesting to see how these things have started taking root and developed and influenced us as a society and influenced our religions and things like that.
Yeah, they definitely have their ways to like work around stuff, and it kind of feels weird to like learn the ins and outs of demons and stuff because it again, like we were saying earlier, is like it's kind of similar with angels. They all similarly have things going on and whatnot, and it's like, huh, that's it's just like when coincidence is too hard and these stories are all too
Yeah.
similar, it kind of makes you think about it. Like for thousands and thousands and thousands of people to have the same stories across different cultures and different things, it makes you think about it a little bit. Like, is there some
Right.
hidden truth
Like,
to them?
yeah, it's like we've said in a lot of these, when so many people who have nothing to do with each other have such similar corroborating stories across such a great distance, how can you just dismiss all those people as crazy at once? Like, how can you logically do that? You can't. So it makes it puts it into that gray area immediately of like, well, could be.
It is definitely a could be, could not be type deal, and it's just something that's very interesting. Again, with all these going on, that's just throws me for a loop sometimes. Like one of the ones that I really like too is like Samael.
Oh yeah.
In the Hebrew, Daemon, and although many of his functions resemble like the Christian notion of Satan, sometimes he's even identified as a fallen angel. He's not necessarily evil. He's just like
Right.
regarded as like sometimes good, such as like destroying the sinners and stuff like that. Um,
Right.
but he just has like a lot of like grim and destructive means. Like he has a job, and his whole job is to like he's kind of like the guardian angel, like as a guardian angel of sorts to some, and others think that he's still like one of God's servants, and like there's so many different things like that get told about him that as I've kind of like I've kind of looked into him and seen like what he does. He's almost like the angel of death in some parts of this like mythology here. Like he's not
Yeah.
entirely good, but he's not entirely bad. Although he does seduce women and do weird shit like every
Yeah.
other fucking god or whatever, but like he does some bad things, but he also does good things. Like he just does help sometimes, and it's just a weird situation. His whole being is just interesting.
It is. It's really strange too cuz like he's one of those ones that is, you know, we see him almost in both. Like you were saying, he's almost like the angel of death. Like there's a creature, at least one, in both of these sides of this mythos that seem to have the exact same function or description even, you know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah,
I was looking
absolutely.
for, well, I can't find the original one I was looking for, but
Well, I mean, he's also called in like Hebrew. Samael is also called the venom or poison of God, which is another name for him. In a
right.
single account, he's believed to be the father of Cain, as well as the partner of Lilith. And he's never been identified as Satan, but in some of the stuff, he's like head of Satan's, so to speak. So he's like one of them. right? And
Right.
um,
Well, and that's a important distinction when we're talking about this mythology too, is that in some readings of this type of mythos, Lucifer and Satan are the same person, and other ones they're not. In other ones, it's like Satan is the name Lucifer took when he fell. You know what I mean? Some
yeah.
regard them as two separate beings entirely. So
And
there's a
I
lot of
don't.
different
Yeah,
interpretations.
there's a lot of interpretations that way. Like in Judaism, for Samael, he planted the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Right. So
Therefore, he
he's the
was
one that
banished
had.
and cursed by God. So it was weird because in
Right.
Judaism, he is the one that tempts Adam and Eve into taking the sin, the first sin in the form of the serpent. So like it was
Right.
him, not um you know Satan. So, but there's so many
Right.
different
Yeah.
ones that are there. So he's just an interesting one in my opinion when it comes to like being in 4 or 5 different accounts of mythology.
Right, and he's one that we see pop up in pop culture too. I believe they dealt with him in Supernatural even.
I think so,
Um
yeah, if I
and
remember.
I know they mention him in Buffy, but I don't know if he actually shows up. But I do know he's mentioned in Buffy. Um it's been so long
Yeah.
since I've seen the show though.
Oh, me too. It's been forever.
Another one that shows up a lot, that we kind of have more knowledge about too, which is what's crazy too, is like some of these guys we have no knowledge about. For instance, when I was looking up these demons, one that made it into the dictionary is called Flaga, Scandinavian fairy. Some say it was only a magician who had an eagle for a mount. That's it. That's the whole description, nothing else. And then we get
Imagine
into
being
ones like this
categorized
that.
as a demon for owning a bird that you drive around.
That's right. If you ride on a bird,
piece of
instantly
shit.
a demon.
Oh, you bastard! Get out of here!
Bastard.
Get out of here! You're like, I'm just driving my vehicle, sir. I don't know what to tell you.
You take your friend Leonard and you get the fuck out.
Take your shit and go. We don't want your guy
And
here.
then we get in. And then we get into other ones that have invaded, for lack of a better word, our pop culture that we know lots about. For instance, I have Beelzebub pulled right here, or Beelzebuth, pulled up right here, and like
big busy
according
bee fly man, huh?
Exactly, yes, and don't worry, I'll be getting into the description according to Milton and the Infernal Dictionary here. So it says Beelzebub, prince of demons according to scriptures. He is also the first in power and in crime after Satan, according to Milton. Supreme leader of the Infernal Empire, according to most demonographers, his name means Lord of the Flies. Bowden claims he is no longer seen in his temple, and it was the demon who was the most revered of the peoples of Canaan, who sometimes represented him under the figure of a fly, most often with the attributes of sovereign power. He made oracles and King, I'm going to butcher that, Ochazias? Ochozias. King Ochazias consulted him on a sickness which worried him and was severely reprimanded for this by the prophet Elisha. He was given the power to deliver the men from the flies that ruin their harvest. And so he's basically was prayed to by these people in Canaan, and they put him under the figure of a fly because he's described. So his description here, I guess, comes from the Zodiaco Vitae. I'm not sure what that is. Sounds Latin. But it says, he is of a prodigious size, seated on an immense throne, surrounded by a ring of fire, with a swollen chest, puffy face, gleaming eyes, raised eyebrows, and menacing air. It has extremely wide nostrils, 2 large horns on his head, and he is black as a Moor. 2 broad wings of bats are attached to his shoulders, and he also has 2 broad duck legs, a lion's tail, and long hairs from the head to the feet. So that's apparently the form that he takes when he's in his area of hell. And then when he's out and about traveling, he takes the form of the plague fly, and that's the form most people are common with him in. The
Man,
giant
why?
monstrous fly.
Okay. Why the duck feet?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's always
What could be
something
more
so
menacing than
randomly
duck feet?
weird.
You just look at slapping around the pits of hell. Like, brother, what?
He's
Why would
secretly
you
an
choose
Aflac salesman.
Aflac. Yeah. Yeah. I don't understand some, like when people are like, he had the head of a goat and the cock of a horse. And you're like, why? What is
There's
the
no
purpose of
cock
that?
like
What
horse
what
cock.
are you doing? What are you doing? Why would you choose that? Like, that seems like lame. Like, why wouldn't you want to be like cool fire horse legs or something? You know, it's like duck feet.
Be like
You're
that.
like, okay.
The picture of that one demon that has a dick so big he has to use a wheelbarrow. I've seen that. That's a picture.
I don't know. I don't know. Again,
and then
it's
you
just
got
whenever I hear it.
right. And you gotta think too. Things are gonna be different. Also, whether you're reading about Hebrew religion, Greek mythology type, Indian mythology type, even if you're just between the Abrahamic religions and the Ars Goetia. So Ars Goetia is actually getting a lot more popular right now, thanks to a show called Has Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss on YouTube and Amazon Prime. Where a main character in the Hell of a Boss is Stolas. Well, he's an actual demon in the Ars Goetia, described as a great prince of the underworld who appears in the form of an owl, and when he takes the form of a man, he shows himself before the exorcist, uh, meaning he's totally there to shock value exorcists, and he teaches astronomy as well as the properties of plants and the value of precious stones. 26 legions are under his command. And like that's a real demon from the Ars Goetia that is like getting a lot of popularity right now. And even Scandinavian mythology, like for instance, if we're gonna get into Norse and stuff, everybody hopefully realizes that all the gods have good sides and bad sides right now. And this includes Odin from Norse mythology. So much so that in Germany and England and Scandinavian mythology and all of these, right? Odin, when he's basically being an asshole, it says when he acts as a destructive or evil genius, he takes the name Nickar or Nick, Nickar, or Hnickar. And that's the
Goddamn.
name and form he takes when he's, causing trouble.
That's an interesting one. There's some of these I just haven't like heard before, and like a lot of these are so weird, man. So weird.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So the Infernal Dictionary. I'll go ahead and get into Nickar a little bit since we have a little bit about him. And like I said, it's really interesting because it's basically Odin when he's acting like an evil genius or destructive. So, it's been out for a couple years now. Spoiler alert for those that haven't played God of War Ragnarok yet. Basically, like when Odin acts like he acted in that game, he's being Nickar. It says, under this name and in the form of a Kelpie, which is like a demonic water horse.
I do not
native to like Scotland.
Anytime I think about Kelpie, I think about Neo 2, and it brings me to tears thinking about fighting any single one of those things.
Right. Kelpie is the name of my cat. He lives in the lakes and rivers of Scandinavia where he raises storms and hurricanes. There's a dark lake with murky waters and thick wood-covered shores in which lies the island of Rugen. This is where he likes to torment sinners by capsizing their boats and sometimes throwing them to the top of the highest fir trees. So basically he just goes through, picks these dudes up, and throws them at the top of trees.
He's
Yeah, yeet!
Are you good? Yeah, he just kind of threw me up here. Oh, is he? Did he hurt you? No, not really. I mean, it kind of hurt to hit the tree, but I'm just gonna climb down now.
Let's climb down now, right? But I guess he was such a mischievous little guy that in English the sailors dubbed him Old Nick.
Dang.
Just a little scamp.
You know, if we're talking about interesting little dudes, little guys, one of my favorite little guys in the Dictionnaire Infernal is Zaphan. Xaphan. He is
I literally just flipped
Zaphan.
to him.
Yeah, is one of the fallen angels that rebelled with Lucifer against God, and is a demon of the second rank. During the rebellion against heaven, he proposed to set fire to heaven before he and the others fallen were cast out. After being cast out of heaven and into the abyss, he's just been fanning the flames of the furnaces of hell with his mouth and hands. And he has a bellows as an emblem. That's it.
He's
that's it.
The resident arson
guy. Yeah, just a little guy. It just keeps flames of hell going.
He's the one that's responsible for the Valley of Headless Men. That's why they were all burned.
Oh, you might be right. Zaphan, he's getting there. He's going to the chimney and just... Which I am very happy to say that was definitely one of my favorite episodes to listen to. I love Valley of Headless Men. It's a good...
Yes, it was so good. It was very, very good. Go listen to it if you haven't,
I'm also glad to say that the Angel episode has been really good too. Really awesome.
Yes, that one has been...
get interested in that. I was very grateful that our first Mythos file did so well as it did. So
me too.
Thanks for that.
Me too. Yes, thank you guys so much. To kind of pull it away from the bad guys, I guess, a little bit. Although Zaphan, just an arsonist. I wouldn't call that bad. No, I'm just kidding.
He's just a guy. That's it. He just suggested fire. He didn't actually do anything.
Right? He just held up the gasoline, but he never had the matches. No.
He didn't like the match. Didn't like the match.
Right? But we were talking about kind demons earlier, and I have two here, right out of the dictionary again, back to back. One is known as Yan-Gat-E-Tan, so it's YAN-GANT-Y-TAN. Yan-Gat-E-Tan. A kind demon who wanders the night in Finisterre. He wears 5 candles on his 5 fingers and turns them with the speed of a reel. His encounter was a bad omen for the Bretons, but he is described as a kind demon. So basically he just walks around with these candles on his fingers that are spinning, and he's just like, hey, how's it going? Again, just a dude.
He has no wrongdoings. He's just like, oh, hey. You just pass him like, are those candles? Yeah. All right. I'm gonna go. See you guys later. Nice meeting you. Okay. Right. Bye. I guess.
And then another one, Zabos, Great Count of the Underworld. He's actually the last one in the dictionary. Great Count of the Underworld. He has the figure of a handsome soldier mounted on a crocodile, and his head is adorned with a ducal crown, which is basically a crown that looks like a helmet and has 2 horns on it. And it specifically says he is sweet of character. So there's an anime out right now called Delicious in Dungeon, and there's a dwarf character on there basically who's like a really good at cooking the monsters. And so basically picture that guy on a crocodile, and that's this guy.
Okay. I mean, I know exactly what's going on, and that's okay. That's definitely a description.
Right? It's crazy to me that throughout this dictionary, all of these people too are either like well, most of these people are either like kings of hell, princes of hell, grand marquis of hell, duke of hell. There's even presidents of hell, which I don't know how you can have a king and a president, but
Hey,
like
one of them's elected, one of them is just by blood, bro. Come on. They give the
I
people
mean,
a
yeah,
choice, even if they're sitting in a pit of lava.
that's right. You know what? You're totally right.
That's what I'm
Which is
saying.
why I think it's also important to mention like some of the Germanic demons, such as Nain Lorin or the Elf King. Literally the king of small elves, kobolds, and other dwarf-like spirits. It is
You're
a
on a
strange
Jones
little.
Deaver. Kobolds are real.
That's right. It is a strange little dwarf of stunted form with motley clothes, a red bonnet on his head. Dwarf with a red bonnet. I've heard of red caps before. No, thank you. Honored by the valets, the servants, and the cooks of Germany. He makes them good offices and he curry combs their horses. He washes the house. Washes. Not watches. Washes the house. Keeping the kitchen in good order and watching it over everything in it so that we don't think about neglecting it. So the
Okay.
demons in Germany are just helpful.
They just clean your fucking house. Like, oh my god, this guy he didn't even clean the dog food spills on the floor. I gotta get that. Like, okay. You know,
That's right. So
speaking of,
those of their I was
okay,
gonna say those of our listeners who have roommates out there that aren't upholding their keep, slap a sticky note on their forehead that says like "wash the dishes" or something while they're sleeping, and then blame it on the Elf King. Be like, "No, Google it. It's a German thing. I don't know what you did to piss them off, but no."
yeah, you're gonna hurt them. You're gonna hurt their little feelings. But since
And
we're
you know,
talking
if
about
a
such
German,
interesting little things, I was going to say my next little guy is Ordog from Hungary.
oh nice, yes, I'm excited for that one. Just remember, folks, if a German spirit pisses you off or you piss them off, avoid the term gaslighting. Go ahead, Joey.
I was gonna say, I was gonna be like, bro, leave out some cookies and milk like Santa. You'll be good. They'll appreciate that shit. But
I
Ordog
recently learned
is
German chocolate cake is not from Germany, and that fucking blew my
no,
mind.
it's
So
not. It's just by a dude named German.
yeah, it was the brand of
It's just his
chocolate
name.
used or whatever was German's
Yeah.
chocolate. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
It has nothing to do with Germany. But Ordog, or Erdung in Old Hungarian, is a shape-shifting demonic creature. And in early Hungarian paganism, he controls the dark and evil forces of the world. And he was once identified with the devil, and it's often in Hungarian mythology that God had help from Erdung when creating the world. And is often thought to somewhat look like a satyr or a faun, which is like a person with a goat head, pretty much. And it's a humanoid
Yes.
with the upper torso of a human male and the lower portions of a goat, usually pitch black with cloven hooves, ram-like horns, a long tail ending in a blade, and he carries a pitchfork. He can also be distinguished by his overly large phallus. Yes, he had a very large um, penis. Ooh, yeah. Very,
Ooh,
very,
demonic.
very demon. They were like, this dude, horse, hung like a horse, demon, immediately. And
just,
so
I
he,
I'm just trying to imagine a medieval peasant just busting in their house. Margaret, come quick! This man doth carry a schlong. Like fucking, it needs a birth
he
certificate.
has the phallus of a horse and the face of a goat. You just look outside. He's like a little ugly, but I don't. God damn, why are you guys gonna be so rude to these people?
I think we need to find out how old Johnny Sins really is. No.
I'm just saying we need to study this man's brain when he's done. But so
There's no
Urdung is
contact
constantly
force.
stirring a huge cauldron filled with souls of those who lived in sin and regarding its punishment. And so like When he does come to Earth, according to some legends, he hides in the walls of victims and makes subtle noises that sound high pitched and even squeaky. And in legends, when he comes to Earth, he takes the form of a fox, a dark flame, or a Hungarian shepherd with dark, sparkling eyes. And it is his habit to make bets with humans to see if they become corrupt. His long term goal is to collect
That's
more human souls. Quote.
that's so funny that his like thing is to make bets with them, because as soon as you said he uses his big ol' stirring stick there to stir a cauldron full of souls of sinners, all I thought was gambling addiction in the pecker pot.
I was gonna say I'm a Magic the Gathering player, bro. I'm a gambling addict. I don't know what to tell you. I'm done. Nate, I'm sorry. I'm going. I've already
You're gonna have
committed
to get in the pecker
sin.
pot.
They're like, well, you're gonna stay in hell for every pack of magic that you've opened. You will stay 1 week in hell. Oh my god,
Oh no.
this guy's never getting out of here. He's like, oh man, I'm
You're
sorry.
Listen, I don't know if
Yeah,
this will be a
you're
detriment
not on the
or a
right road,
benefit.
no.
I don't know if this will be a detriment or a benefit, but recent studies have shown that a clean penis apparently tastes exactly like an avocado. So I'm just saying, if you like avocado toast, maybe not that bad. No.
I'm just gonna say, if you're stirring the pot like that, I wouldn't want to be one of those souls either. You're just constantly
Punch me in
dodging
the eye
every day.
again. No, fucking.
You're like, oh no, man, it rubbed on my shoulder. Oh, maybe that is just all the torture you need. That's the real torture of this story. But Ordung is such an interesting one to me. I love him. But yeah, that's all the ones that I had, man.
These ones aren't as fun as he is, but I do think it's kind of a interesting one that I believe it's pronounced Bunyip. It's an Aboriginal Australian devil or demon, basically, and Tasmanian Aborigines also like talk about these things, but apparently they have a term for them, which is Rageo Rapper. As far as I know, it's RAGEOWRAPPER, Rageo Rapper, and I'm like, dude, that's a candy bar that needs to be made. Devilishly delicious. Slogan writes itself. Like,
I that's fair. I mean, I'm not gonna argue with you on that one.
but it's just something so cool that goes across all these different religions, cultures, geographic locations, and like we've even talked about some before. So like for instance, a lot of North American tribes believe Wendigos are demons. So like in our Wendigo episode, quick plug, uh they became demons, but it's like you were saying in the beginning, they started as people that did something fucked up that became demons.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of them like that, and like any Greek mythological beast like this, the what is it, the Minotaur, Gorgons.
Oh yeah.
You got like even like the story with like Persephone and stuff like that. Like all these demons and bad things that get categorized as such. Sometimes they're just people, and sometimes they're not bad. Like Hades
Right.
is like, he just hates ruling the underworld. It's not even like he's like a bad person. He just doesn't want to do it. He's like, this fucking
Yeah,
sucks. He's just a guy. He's like literally a 16-year-old working at a McDonald's. They don't want to be there. They just gotta be there. So it's like it's like he just hates his job. How does that make him a bad person? Like, goddamn,
right.
everybody throws him under the bus for it. But it's like tons of stuff like that I like see a lot of demons and stuff, and I'm like, most of them are pretty much just like silly little guys. Even in like Japanese culture, there's hundreds
the
of
yokai.
And if we went over yokai, it would be an entire fucking episode itself. But there's stuff that's like, oh, this is a a spirit that eats the baby out of your womb in your bed,
Oh yeah.
and you're like,
Or the
what the
floating head
fuck?
lady.
Yeah, and then there's one that's just like it just shows you its asshole, and it's got an eye, and that's just like its whole thing. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't attack
No,
you. It
just
doesn't hurt
shows you
you.
its
It just
asshole and runs.
shows up, shows you its asshole, opens up an eyeball, and that's it. And like you're like,
I have a
okay,
confession to make. No, just kidding.
it was me. It was me the whole time.
It
It's like,
was me the whole time.
okay, what the
You
fuck?
thought it was
Like
yokai, but it was me, Dio.
it was okay to you, yeah. But like I said, like the yokai are interesting because like some of them, they're the best example of like they're not really evil and they're
Right.
not really good. They're just kind of there.
Right, like the Kappa. There's stories of Kappa being bad and wanting to drown people, and then there's stories of Kappa that like watch over rivers and certain water beds and stuff.
There's
So like
what the
it's
story of when Kappa find like coins in the water. They like
yep,
don't fuck with you. They're like, you give me a coin, I'll fuck off. And you're like, okay. So you give them $1
yeah,
and they just run off. And you're like, what was that?
exactly.
Like,
That they're
it's
happy,
like a minor inconvenience than anything else. You
right?
know, it's like a local homeless man comes up and he's like, you got change? You're like, he's like, if you don't got change, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. You're like, okay, I've got change. Are you good with that?
That's
And he's like, yeah, hey, thanks, man. See ya. Have a good day. And you're like,
all homeless
what?
people are secretly Kappa.
What the fuck was that? You know, it's like there's tons of stuff like that and stories out there that I just love about spirits and demons and angels and stuff. It's like just silly little things like that, but
We'll have to
really,
do a whole
I love
yokai
it.
episode.
Absolutely, I want to do that as like another Mythos file for sure because it's just so much fun to go over them and like
Yes.
some of them are horrifying and then other ones are just little dudes. Like I said, we have plenty of little dudes today too.
Yeah.
Big Zaffin
This
fan
was
myself.
Yes, me too. This was a fun episode, and we didn't even get into like you said, the yokai or some of them. There's just so much to work with here, but I think that this was a really fun episode and a really good kind of introduction point into it because we had so many today. It was just bam, bam, bam.
Well, they're also way easier to research, like because like angels, although there's a lot of angels, the problem with like the ones that we didn't get to cover in that episode were like because they're so few and far between, or they only have like one page inside the book that they are written into, so like it's hard to
Right.
identify them. But Daemons, we have like tons of books on them about demonology. We got the Infernus Dictorus or Dictionnaire or
Yep.
whatever it's called. Like that's like whole thing. Like we got a ton of that and like a ton of record with those and there's like yokai books and stuff like that. So like there's a lot of spirit books like that, but there's not a lot of angelic books or mentions of them.
Right.
So it's a little like you kind of have to pick and choose what you talk about there. But this one I like because it's just
Right.
like a ton of stuff that you can go over all at once. But I really appreciate
Absolutely.
everyone for
For
the generosity for listening to us talk about the mythos for sure. Like that was
yes.
probably my favorite.
Yes, we love our delvers. We love when you guys take these trips with us, and thank you all for your support. If you guys want to learn more about this particular type of thing, some books I would recommend are the Magical Books of Solomon, all three: the Greater Key, the Lesser Key, and the Testament of Solomon. The Testament of Solomon, I would say, is really needed with the other two, so that you know what you're getting into. Please be safe. And the other one is the Grand Grimoire or the Red Dragon. These are things that you should, if you're interested in this type of thing, there's something I would recommend reading in and researching up. But always be safe and be smart.
Yeah, like I said during Exorcist file, please don't if you're gonna use a Ouija board or do anything like that or try to enact or look at stuff like this, just be aware of what you're kind of like looking at. And if you don't believe it and you think it's all malarkey, this doesn't apply to you. Don't worry about it. It's fine. But for everyone else
Exactly.
that might have like some tinge of like spiritualism, or maybe you grew up Christian, Catholic, something like that along those lines, kind of like I did or Nate did, like I still get a
Yep.
little wary about it myself, and like
Oh
I
yeah.
don't try to do anything about it. I'll read it and I'll like comprehend it, and I really like the idea of it and like the knowledge that comes with it. But like in terms of actual like, because there is like summoning practices in some of the books, just be
Yes. Yeah, I
careful when you
have
use
read
it.
them. I have read them for the knowledge. I own them, so I have that knowledge. I have not once done a single sigil,
Yeah.
a single ritual, a single thing out of that book because I just refuse. I'm not. The doors you open and leave open invite
Are harder to
everything
close than
in.
you think. So
Yep.
that's what I say. It's like they're harder to close than they are to open. So
Yes, 100%.
I definitely like to let you guys know, like, if that's something you're interested in, absolutely go check it out. I recommend it. I think it's really cool to look at and check out yourself and everything, especially if you're interested in the occult and everything. But besides that, I would just say be careful. But yeah, again,
Yes.
thanks
These
everybody for everything because it's been super fun to be able to do this.
It is. Yes, this is super fun. I love it. Thank you guys for all the support. Thank you for having me, Joey. And are we back? I believe we're back to Cryptid Files then next week, yeah?
We will. We will be back with
Do do
another
do do do
cryptid
do
for
do
you
do.
guys. Ooh, spooky. And next time
Spoopies.
after that, I believe we're into either our haunting or alien files again, which we've had some things, and there's some things that I want to talk about in our
Oh
next
man.
haunting
Yes.
files about. I don't know if you know about the Pope's portals, but I gotta go over that
Yes, the
next time
Pope
for sure.
portals.
We gotta go over
Absolutely.
that because there's tons of weird footage and stuff that we gotta talk about. But we'll save that for next time. And for all of you, thank you so much for supporting us on the Mythos Files 1 because we weren't really
Yeah,
sure how these were gonna do or if they were gonna get any traction or views at all. But they actually have been doing pretty
exactly.
well, so I appreciate it.
And
Of
real
course,
quick,
if you guys,
Joey, before we
oh,
log off, real quick,
oh,
plug your
mm,
stuff. Go for it. Where can they find you? Where can
absolutely.
they support you?
So, where you guys can find us and kind of get into different stuff as well is that we're gonna start uploading as well here pretty soon in about the next next few months. Look forward to seeing Patrick Games in our Patreon, and you guys will be able to support Patchwork Media and Patchwork Games however you please. Whether that be you guys purchase our games, which I just released my newest game, Parasitic Paradigm, and that's going to be our zombie survival TTRPG with a D6 system. If you guys are interested in TTRPGs or tabletop games or any stories from it too, I also host another podcast called um, DED or Dastardly Easy DMing. If you guys want to go check that out, that'd also really be awesome, and I'd love the support over there. So if you're subscribed to us there, subscribe to us over on DED. It helps Patchwork Media grow, helps us get more episodes of this out and everything else. I'm super excited because I just commissioned someone the other day, Nate, to get us some
Yes.
artwork going for some of our
Woot.
own merch that I really want. Like, there's gonna be a poster. That's the first thing I'm working on is getting a
Yes.
poster for us. And so when we get that out, I'm gonna be really excited, and I'm really really happy with the progress. Uh, but for now, if you guys are ever interested in that, you can go check us out at patreon.com/patchworkgames and look for us over on a Delve Deeper YouTube and keep up to date with us because we will be posting episodes, trying to do these each week, and we'll eventually get some merch out to you guys. And if you guys can, it'd be really really appreciated if you guys could spread the word, tell people about it, tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your dog, whatever you want to do, and get them to sub. It
Hold a
helps our
town hall
channel
meeting.
immensely. Yeah, exactly. And we can all talk
Eh,
mouth, man. How about that? But I'm really looking
That's
forward to
right.
everything with that, though. I really am, and I'm looking forward to seeing and talking to all of you as well, because it's awesome, and I love the community so much with all this, and I can't wait to see more from you guys, and I can't wait for you guys to see more from us. So look forward to that, and
Me too. We love you guys
yeah,
so much. Please go follow Joey at his Patreon and his Dashly Easy Gaming DMing, I mean, and please go follow Patchwork Games and support them. That helps, like he said, us, that helps them, that helps you guys. And if you guys are looking for anybody that to do some voice acting work for you, you can find me at blizzardwizard.com, BLZZRD, WZZRD.com, or under pretty much every social media except X and Snapchat under that same name. So go ahead and give us follows, likes, shares, all the good stuff. Tell all your friends, family, like Joey said, dogs, hold a town meeting, anything you got to do. We appreciate it, and we love you guys so much.
Absolutely. And until next time, I guess we'll have to take a delve deeper into cryptids again, won't we?
Yes, sir.
All right. See you later, guys.
Bye.